Hey everyone, if you like our content and want to help us grow our channel, you can support us on Patreon, where you also get exclusive behind the scenes content. Otherwise, follow us on these social media platforms where you can help support us. A little goes a long way. Enjoy the rest of this video. Good evening everyone, welcome to another Nonocat review. Tonight we'll be doing a AEG gun. So this particular AEG is sponsored by ICS and it is pretty cool. Let's check it out. So let's unbox it. Guess you could tell what it is from that. Or the title. In any case, inside the box we have their catalog of all the different fancy ICS guns. Oops. And here, it seems like a lot of manufacturers are moving to that trend. So it is a QR code for your product instruction manual. Make sure you read that, of course. Alright. Here we have the Lightway Dagger. So this particular one is the S3 model, and it is the Lightway Series, which means it is built to be lightweight. And I believe they use a fiber reinforced polymer construction with the receiver as well as the handguard. So that's really cool. We'll get into more details about that. Inside the box we also have their high cap magazine. So these are quite cool because you have a little window. We have probably a barrel tool of some sort. And this particular unit does come with Deans, so it seems like they've actually included a spare Deans for the battery actually. So that's kind of cool. And we have spare fuses. So I believe inside this gun you're looking at a 30 amp fuse, and they've given a 20 amp and a 25 amp for different basically battery types. So it is recommended to use LiPo batteries with these. So I believe the 20 and 25 are for your 7.4 volts. But in any case, let us put that box aside. Let's take a look at the ICS Lightway Dagger. So this unit is fairly light. Seems like it is rear heavy. You get a bit more weight in the back, so that's quite easy to control. And I can see that the new handguard is an M-lock system. So we're looking at a 6 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and 9 o'clock position M-locks. It's got a top Picatinny that goes all the way through. It seems like that Picatinny on top of the receiver is aluminum, and the receiver is polymer. The stock, of course, is polymer with the grip. The buffer tube itself is aluminum. The flash hider is polymer as well. So let's pop that open and have a look. The charging handle is aluminum. Yep. And I think that's aluminum. Yeah, so the forward is aluminum. So we've got their fuse right here. So that fuse actually says 20 amp. So it seems like we've got two 20 amp fuses and a 25 amp fuses. So that's pretty interesting. And it comes with Deans already out of the box. Let's pop that open. So we've got the dummy bolt and the dust cover, which are both aluminum. I believe that trigger's aluminum as well. So that's quite nice. We've got a straight flat trigger that is aluminum. Trigger guard's aluminum, of course. Yep. And we've got an extended mag release right there. We've got flip up sights. So these are quite good. They're quite slim profile as well. I quite like these. And you know, it's quite easy just to pop them open. The front is adjustable without using a tool. So is the rear. So this would actually come in quite handy actually, because I quite like that design that you could just adjust it on the whim. So that's quite useful. So I think let's take a closer look at the details. So this particular stock does have a lot of space. Let's pop that on. So by pushing that pin out, essentially you can just remove that stock fairly easy. So that's quite a well-designed stock. Lots of space inside the stock. I don't know if you can see that on camera. So basically, we can actually put quite a big battery in there, and also kind of put it downwards into this particular compartment of the stock. See if I got a battery here somewhere. I believe I do. Okay, so I've got a 1300 here. I don't know if you guys can see right in this video here. I'm just gonna pop that in. You can see it just lights in fairly easy. I could probably put this entire piece inside the buffer tube. So I quite like the ICS buffer tubes because they've actually designed for the wiring to go right at the bottom of the buffer tube. So even with 1300 11.1, we can see that we can put the wiring on the bottom of the stock itself, and the rest of the battery just sits in there. So I think you could actually put a two-piece sort of battery that goes right into the buffer tube as well as inside the stock. So that's really useful, and I think Crytek as well as VFC's QRS and PTS stocks are well designed for that battery compartment space, and it seems like IC has actually done it here. So that's really convenient. I really like that ample amount of space in that storage area. Let's put that on. So this is quite a compact sort of AEG. The barrel length is about 6 inch, and that just makes it really versatile for CQB situations. So this particular lightweight dagger is the S3 unit. If you don't know what the S3 is, it's basically the triple S trigger units that ICS are quite well known for. So we've seen that in the PDW9. They are very effective for trigger response as well as other features and whatnot. So the particular S3 unit does come with a pre-cocking feature, which means that pistons pull back before you take the shot. So when you do take that shot, when you pull that trigger, it just releases it, which gives it a very quick and snappy shot. I really like that feature, especially when you're playing mostly semi-auto. So definitely one of my favorite features to have. So the S3 model also comes with master mod internals. Specifically, the piston is reinforced, has full steel teeth, I believe. The cylinder head and the piston head are actually both CNC aluminum, as well as the nozzle as well. I believe the gears are actually MIM, which are metal injection molded, and this unit does come with master mod hop tensioner nubs. So that would be quite interesting to test out, especially for its accuracy and basically stability of the hop. So we'll put that to the test. So the S3 model also does come with the flat trigger, which is not found in the previous model, as well as the larger stock compartment. So notably, ICS has always been well known for the split gearbox design. So I really like that particular aspect of it. So let's pop that open and show you really quickly if you haven't seen that before. So let's pop that. So the ICS split gearbox is a little bit different from your standard AEGs. Your standard AEGs will be basically you have to remove the pin on the front and just slide it out. The ICS, you actually break it from the rear. So just like a real AR. Let's pop that open and show you. So once that pin comes out, it doesn't have a retainer, it seems. Release that spring, cool. So I forgot to mention the forward assist does actually act as a spring release. So what that means is if your spring is pulled back by the pre-cocking feature, by pressing that, it releases it, which is probably something you want to do before you disassemble it. So let me just pop that open. Oops. Let's try not to break it. There we go. Bit of tap on the back. All right, so we can see here the ever famous ICS split gearbox design. So why would you want that? One of the various reasons is because it's actually really easy to work on. So if you are having issues, let's say in particular with with just the upper gearbox itself. You could literally just take that out and work on that specifically, rather than having to disassemble the entire thing, including with the gears and all the other springs that are in there. So the other cool thing about this particular unit is if you do want to bring maybe spares or backups of the upper itself, you could do that. This particular upper itself does feature a QD quick spring change design, so you could actually just use a flathead, I believe. Yep. Or I believe that's a Torx actually. So you can actually use a Torx or Allen key just to remove that. You can see here we've got the aluminum nozzle as mentioned, which is a master mod. It's kind of cool. You can see that little design there. And let's put that aside. So one of the most important things is to watch out for that tappet plate. So we've seen a lot of people kind of destroy it by trying to fit it in. Just make sure that is aligned with your gear. But in any case, let's pop this thing out. So this is the inner barrel and hop-up unit. So they've gone for a blacked out sort of inner barrel there. Looks quite fancy. Rotary hop-up unit. I believe I can see that tensioner right there. Don't know if you guys can see that. So it's a little bit gold on the inside. Okay, so that's probably the master mod hop tensioner. That's fairly cool. I can see a sort of different sort of hop sort of feeding design right there. That looks really cool as well. So that's quite interesting to see what they've done there. So I haven't seen these in AEGs before. So hopefully we'll see some improvement with the accuracy as well as the hop-up. That should be one of the major factors on this particular AEG here. So in this particular AEG, we do have the SSS unit. This unit technically should have pre-cocking as well as active braking. It should be a smart unit that has error codes and whatnot. Let's see if we can pop a battery in there and just give it a go. So I'm just going to connect this battery right now. Okay, you guys can see that green light there. So that's active. Okay, so we're just going to put it on semi and just give it a pull. Just give it a quick trigger pull. So can you see that on the camera? Okay, so we're going to pull that trigger and pull it again. Pull it again. Can you see that the gear is actually returning to the same position every 2 pulls? So basically it's doing a half cycle from what I can see. Oh, well, calculated cycle, I would say. So it's actually stopping at the same point every single time. So it's cycling very consistently. So that's really cool. So before you guys put that template plate on, make sure that it's actually clear of that particular, I believe. Oh yeah, actually it's reverting to the same point. So there's nothing to worry about there. So you can tell that that unit's working really well. And with that light there, there is a error code on the menu that shows you what is wrong if it does flash differently. So I won't get into that. You guys can read that for yourself online. And you know what? I don't know what else to say. Let's just shoot it. Let's just take it down on the field. We're gonna do 2 different tests. We're gonna do a range test as well as a in-game test. So we're gonna bring it to game, shoot it, give it a try, see what its actual use is like. Let's get into that.
Cruising in my lane fast, just call it high speed. I've been working hard, yeah, I've been working nightly. If you think you'll win, ha, nah, likely. I be taking shots, yeah, cold-blooded, icy. Watching numbers grow is what I call sightseeing. In the front row, run it up when they hype me. The following grows, they know how to ignite me. Call me CEO, I've been running right, see. And I ain't playing games, I create my own lane, making pleasure out of pain, turning losses into gains, I'm the boss, I'm making change, I've been rocking this exchange, popping up and risking things, gonna make a fucking name, I just wanna be famous. But I don't want that cheap fame, no I'm not that vain, I just wanna be greatness. I just wanna be greatness. Okay, I'm going off every chance I get. I don't really take a loss, well, I'll admit. That's why I'll make it to the top, yeah, I commit. And no, I'm never getting lost, I get after it. Investing in my own stock, cause it's faster than any crypto hits go, let me spend. Everything that you see is something I invent. And it's only a percent. I'm gonna take shots. If I miss all, forget it. I'll take a fat loss just to learn all that's in it. I'm taking snapshots, learning how to fall and get it. I'm getting back up, always stand tall, don't sweat it. I never back up, I don't miss a thing or regret it. I'm always learning, you could call me academic. I'm always working, never been apathetic. That energy is like a poison, needs some antiseptic.
Alright.
I just wanna stay bad, stay mad, shit on my shoulder cause they treat me like an outcast. I ain't gonna take that, stay back, I'll be swinging hard till the hits come in all caps. I ain't gonna lay back, pray that someone's gonna help me, ain't nobody like that. I ain't gonna wait, that's all fact, give me one shot and I'll never get the throne back. I'm sick of being cautious, I'ma go cause something, can't stop this. I'ma steal everybody's name, call it shoplift. Sick of hearing everyone complain when they thoughtless. Taste the pain, it's like candy canes. It makes me go change into a better frame, into a better name. Society's insane, we all live for fame, yeah. Cash in the bag, stadium packed. Born a rock star in this life, gon' live it up on the attack. Baby, I'm back. I just wanna get caught up in this life, I'm crazy, I'm mad. Do it no cap. Only got one, so you better go live it up. Cash in the bag, stadium packed. Baby, I'm back. Baby, I'm back. I got the cash in the bag, stadium packed. Born a rock star in this life, gon' live it up. rock star in this life, gon' live it up on the attack. Baby, I'm bad, I just wanna get caught up in this life. I'm crazy, I'm mad, do it no cap. Only got one, so you better go live it up. Cash in the bag, city unpacked. Baby, I'm bad, baby, I'm bad. I got cash in the bag, city unpacked. For the rock star in this life, gon' live it up on the attack. Baby, I'm bad, I just wanna get caught up in this life. I'm crazy, I'm mad, do it no cap. Only got one, so you better go live it up. Cash in the bag, city unpacked. Baby, I'm bad, baby, I'm bad.
So we're out here to give the Lightway Dagger a go on the targets. We've accessorized it. We've got the PQ, we've got the ASAC Bluetooth lighter BT. So we're gonna chrono that while we're kind of playing with it. So we'll get real world data. We've got the Hollow Sun with a riser mount. We've got the PDS 250 round mags. They're really cool. And I've got the K Tactical single point sling. Let's give it a go. So what we're going to do is do some simple drills. I think the first one we can try is probably here in this position. So I'm just going to turn around, 2 shots each target, do a Mac reload, and then 2 shots on each again. And then, yeah, let's just go from there first. All right, so I'll let you do the count. Awesome. So trigger response is really quick. I kind of started on the first shot, but regardless, let's have a look at the data here. So we've got 12 shots, as you can see on the app here. We're getting an average of 283.7 FPS on 0.25 gram BBs. And we can see that the minimum is 279 and the maximum is 287. So we're looking at less than 10 FPS of difference between each shot. So that is fairly decent. And mostly it's been quite consistent. All right, so let's clear that data. And then we're just gonna try a different drill. All right, so let's do a Beals drill on the center target. So that's 6 shots as quick as I can go. And then, maybe do 2 or 3 repetitions and see how that performs. So I'll let thumb speed be the beep, and then we'll go from there. So ready when you are? All right. Okay, so a bit of a lag at the end of it, but otherwise not too bad. So let's take a quick look at the data. So we did 3 strings, so that's 18 shots, and we can see that the minimum is at 279 FPS and the maximum is 282. So that is some really impressive, really consistent results. You're getting only a difference of 3 FPS at that point. So we're using 0.25 gram BBs, and they're performing quite well actually. We're going to do an accuracy test for about 15 meters away. We're using 0.25 gram BBs. So I kind of left the gun as it is when we're doing the drill. So let's just see what it does, and then we're just going to run it on the chrono and see what it's like. Do you think you could reset that chrono for me? Okay, so let's give it a go. And we'll do ideally 10 shots. So this is in a somewhat supported sort of position, 15 meters away. So let's give it a go. Awesome. All right, so let's go and have a look. All right, so we can see that the gun is performing really well. That grouping is crazy. It's like literally 2 fingers. So it's what, 1 inch? I think it's about 1 inch apart. Yeah, it's crazy. So all the shots are landing there consistently. So we're gonna do another test again, ideally with a new target, but just because that the chrono didn't actually register. So we're gonna reset it, double check it, and test it, and give it another go on 10 rounds on this big target. All right, let's give it a go. Now we're gonna do the chrono again. Hopefully it registers this time, and 10 shots down that target and see what that grouping's like. So before we were kind of leaning towards the right, the sight wasn't tuned in properly, so I'm just gonna compensate by adjusting it slightly to the left and see if we can get those alphas right there. All right, so that's 10 shots down on the target. Ready when you are? Is that 10 shots? There we go. All right, so let's take a look. We've got the chrono results right here. So, do you have that in focus? Easy. All right, so once again, real world data, 282 minimum FPS and 285 maximum. You can see that it's getting more and more stable. Now we're well within 3 FPS of difference. So the bucking does require a bit of wearing in, and we're seeing that right now with some really consistent results. So we're using 0.25 gram BBs and achieving an average of 284 FPS on that chrono. So let's take a look at the 10 shots down at the target and see what it looks like. All right, so we can see here, it's bloody consistent. Once again, about 2 fingers away, 1.5 to 2 inches, roughly, I would say. So it is showing some really consistent data. This is the second time we've tested it, just because the first time the chrono wasn't working. I have to say, I am impressed. Lightway Dagger does deliver some results, very consistent results. The only other gun I've seen that, kind of do these sort of results was the NGRS. So the Marui with the hop up is just insane, just amazing. But we're seeing that here. That's pretty cool. So just a bit of fun. We're just going to do a mag dump on that target, 15 meters away roughly. Just position that a little bit backwards. So 15 meters away roughly. And we're just going to do mag dump on that target, see what the accuracy is like even in full auto. So let's give it a go. Okay, ready when you are? Okay, click that on full auto. And we're out. Awesome. Let's take a look at the target. So that was really fun with the mag dump. We'll then keep the magazine, and as you can see, we have a very dead target. It's just impressive once again. So that was in full auto, and you can see that concentrated area. That taper is completely fucked up. Oh shit, I shouldn't have sworn. Oh, I said it twice. Great. Anyway, we did see some inconsistency with 2 shots out of the entire mag dump, but I think that was probably me. I probably dipped the gun, who knows? But in any case, you can see it's created a big hole in there, about 15 meters away. So, really awesome. We've got a tick on full auto, tick on semi-auto, tick on the mag dump, I guess, and an accuracy. I mean, I don't know what I'm talking about. Let's get back to this video. Right, so that was really cool, that was really fun. Few things to go through. So we did kind of accessorize it out, took away the front and rear sight because we've got the PTS riser mount, which has the built-in iron sights in it. We've put on a pack as well as a Ace-Tech Lighter BT Chrono, which also serves as a tracer. We did run it with the Ace-Tech Bifrost in the gameplay. That was really cool. I really enjoyed the aspect of the compactness of the AEG when running it in game, especially with CQB. It just meant I could move around a lot quicker. this particular unit does take the PTS Max, so we did try it with the 250 rounder, the new EPM ones, as well as the very old school PTS P Max. So it ran flawlessly. I'm really happy with that, which means I could, you know, use my original mags as they were. So backwards compatibility is always a good thing. So with the pros, I'm definitely gonna give it a thumbs up on the internals as well as the performance. We did see in the range results that FPS is just consistent. It is amazing. It works well. The groupings are amazing. We're getting really good groupings at 15 meters, and I can safely say that it will do really well up to 30 meters and more. Another pro is that the gun is quite lightweight, but a bit of con is that the buffer tube, for some reason, is quite heavy. I would probably remove it and swap for a lighter buffer tube, just to make it even more lighter. But as it is, the gun is very light. Another pro is the stock compartment. Very good stock because it has ample of space for battery. The buffer tube itself is well designed once again. The only reason why I wouldn't change that is for that as well. It allows a lot of space in there, and you could actually go all the way down and put more stuff in this particular compartment here. So that's really useful to have. What other pros did we have with this particular gun? Besides the gearbox being a split, that's really good. The spring release feature, the straight trigger works well, and I believe the internals seem to just work. I mean, it's 11.1 volt ready. I love using 11.1 volt LiPo batteries, and it definitely works in this gun. So with the cons on this gun, okay, so there are a couple of cons which I will have to mention. So personally, I don't like the trigger guard. It is a very old school flat trigger guard, as well as the standard A2 grip. I personally don't mind this too much. If I could probably wrap it in some gun tape or something. So it's a bit funny because they've kind of gone for a very modern design with the M-lock rail, as well as the very futuristic design on that stock, but they kind of kept these two kind of old school, which is quite surprising. So one of the biggest cons for me is the sling attachments on this particular replica. So out of the box, I didn't find many sling attachment points that I could actually use. We did notice on the rear of the stock, there is one for a sling point here. So that's actually okay if I'm running a 2-point sling, but they actually put a QD sling point right at the bottom. I did try to use that because I use a lot of QD sling points. It doesn't work too well right at the bottom, so I'm not quite sure why it's placed there. But with the front itself, there wasn't any sling attachments that you could put there. So what I've done is I've put a Magpul style Picatinny sort of sling point up here, just because when I grip this particular handguard, it is quite short. If I was to put any basically M-lock attachments right here, it will kind of get in the way of my grip. So ideally I wanted to move it a little bit back for that 2-point sling. But with the 1-point sling, because I did try to use the K-Tactical single-point sling, which is very useful in terms of CQB usage, it wasn't really possible to actually kind of hook it on the rear of that stock. So ideally, with single point slings, I tend to attach it here. And the first thing we realized is there was no sling mount on this particular section of it, where the buffer tube is, or the end of the receiver. So we've actually attached this as a additional sort of sling point option. One of the other cons that I would have to say would be the muzzle device. Once again, not a big con for me because I would just remove it straight away. It is a plastic flash hider, which isn't even threaded. So the good thing about this particular unit is the barrel is threaded. So I was a bit worried when I saw that the flash hider was polymer. So we do have, we do have an aluminum barrel that is threaded for 14 mil counterclockwise. So this thing was actually clipped on. We did try to remove it to put the muzzle attachments on there. Couldn't get it off. We thought it was glued on. We thought it had a basically a design like some cheaper guns, but it just seems like that the flash hider was clip on. kind of pointless. So I just removed that, put on something more fancy like a A-Stack tracer or the Bifrost, or even a different sort of muzzle device. So another con that I realized, but you know, it could be me, I have no idea at this point, but when we were testing it in the range, we did realize that when I pulled the trigger a little bit too quick, for example in the build drill or in the slow-mo video, we did realize that I was pulling on the trigger and nothing was happening. It feels like the gun was still cycling at that point. So I could only guess that the motor is a bit slower, so it could be you know, that can be upgraded with a high torque motor at this point. But when it came to the rounds per second, it was doing about 20 to 21 rounds per second, so that was pretty good. So I'm guessing that they put in quite a balanced motor in there. If I wanted a better trigger response, however, I would probably put in a higher torque motor. Alright, so let's conclude this video. You know, let's talk about the Lightway Dagger S3. Questions to ask. Is it skirmishable out of the box? I definitely think it is. It's got everything you need to start your game. All you need is a battery. So the good thing about this unit is it does come with a Deans on the connection, which is much better than Tamiya in my opinion. You've got the front and rear sights, you've got the high cap magazine, the stock has plenty of space for different battery options. It is very performance, it's got a lot of performance, it definitely works well. It does sit below the 350 FPS sort of category, so you could actually bring that to close quarter games as well as outdoor games. So out of the box, it is very skirmishable. I think the trigger unit is just perfect. It works really well. Now the second question asked is, do I need to spend more money on it? Personally, I think if you want a better sling mounting options, then there's a bit of money to spend there, especially if you want to put a 2-point sling. With the single point sling, I technically would prefer it to be mounted on the sort of end of the receiver or the buffer tube area, so I would definitely put a sling mounting option as such. The other thing that I can think of is maybe changing out the trigger guard if you have bigger fingers, or if you're wearing chunkier gloves, that's definitely going to get in the way. In terms of motor, I believe the motor wasn't keeping up with myself, but once again, it could be me trigger freezing, but I would definitely love to have a stronger motor in there. So if I was going to spend any money on this, it would be for these particular options, but that's really up to you to find out for yourself. Chances are you might not even need to spend a single cent because it might run perfectly for you. So the third question to ask, what sort of players is it for? So being a sub 350 gun, I think, as well as being a very short and compact gun, I think this thing is suited for CQB. So for those that enjoy close quarters battle, I think this gun is perfect for that. It's short and compact and very snappy. So for someone like an intermediate player, this gun is more than sufficient. It runs really well. If it was for an expert sort of level player, I think this gun would keep up personally. The only thing I would change is probably what I mentioned before, probably a stronger motor, but at that point I think it is definitely a very good performer, which brings us to our fourth question. You know, what's the performance on this particular replica? So in terms of performance as an AEG, I believe it is one of the best I've seen out of the box, especially when it comes to the consistency and the stability of its FPS. With the grouping, it was really impressive at about 15 meters. I believe we can push it to about 20 to 30 meters and still see those results. So the consistency on the FPS is just mind-boggling. I haven't seen a gun that performs like that out of the box, except for the NGRS system from Tokyo Marui. I'm really impressed with those. But with the Maruis, you're getting quite a low FPS usually. You're looking at about 280 FPS to about 300. The ICS Lightway Dagger is going at around 330 FPS or so with 0.2 grams, and we are getting a FPS deviation of 5 or so initially, and when it kind of worn in, when the bucking is kind of worn in, we did realize that it was dropping down to about 2-3 FPS deviations. So this is coming out of the box purely stock, and in my opinion, that's really impressive. So in terms of performance, in regards to the FPS, in regards to the accuracy, I believe it is top notch right there. When it comes to the trigger response, it is definitely great. I love it, especially with the pre-cocking feature. So In performance department, I'll give it a 10 out of 10 because out of the box, I'm really impressed by it. So it is a really good AEG, especially for its performance. Alright, so final verdict on the Lightway Dagger S3 unit. So this particular unit is sponsored by ICS. Thank you guys once again for letting us review this really cool unit. We have to thank them for giving us the freedom to actually say what we want about this particular unit, you know, with the pros and the cons. But based on our personal opinion, this is what I think about this unit. So, you know, with our expertise in the industry as well, I've you know, owned over 100 units of airsoft guns, etc, etc, etc. But this particular Lightway Dagger, in my opinion, is a really good performer. I'm really happy to see that the gun is performing so consistently. We were really happy with the PDW9, the MP5 series, as well as their Hera arms with the S3 trigger unit systems. Those were really great, but what we've seen in the Lightway Dagger is a step up in terms of performance. Here we also see that the whole Lightway series is a reduction in weight and I believe cost. That's really interesting to see because now we've got a greater for value for that particular performance. So out of the box, I haven't seen another unit that performs so great, except for the NGRS Marui systems. So really impressed to see ICS delivering that, especially in this particular format. I think the next thing we would like to see is probably the mentioned cons is to fix those to deliver a even more impressive unit. I guess the other ones would be to see that consistency in the other series like the PDW9s and whatnot. I've really enjoyed and really like those basically that series because it's very modernized. It's got a lot of cool sort of ergonomic designs to it. The MP5 series is probably one of my favorites as well because of the new updates on the S3 unit as well as the internals. So having that consistency here means that we can probably see it in those as well. So that's what I'm impressed about. So with the Lightway Dagger, it is a more value for money sort of a series, the particular Lightway series. So I'm not a big fan of the polymer construction, but that being said, as mentioned, we've dropped it before and it's held up really well, and I'm really impressed by it once again. So if it comes to weight reduction, by all means, I would say it's a great option out there. So I think that's it for this particular video. I'm impressed, I like it, let's end it that way. So this is Nonocat, that's Thunder Spear, and we'll see you in the next video. I believe the barrel nut tool removal of some sort. And I should probably redo that. Yeah, I probably should find out what they are. Hilarious. Hello, this is Nonocat and we're back for another review. Today we'll be reviewing our little new cat, Loki, who seems to be intrigued by everything around this room.